Hey everyone, today I worked on something related to the timers. This is how Todool looked previously, and back then I had these timers here at the bottom. They were integrated with some of the task management so that you could actually record like this. You would have like a tag so that a task could be recorded, and when you would hit the stopwatch, which would count upwards, and then stop the timer, it would actually record the time spent on this specific task. So I've kind of rethought this. I don't think people really would care if for like a single line or like a task, how much time that one would take. So rather instead I am focusing on the Pomodoro timing, which I think has actual use. Here at the bottom I could enable the Pomodoro time to go, and then this would also count to the currently recording task. But that's not very useful, so the way I've done it now with Todool is I have the Pomodoro stuff here at the left so that you can easily access it. Just like you can switch from one mode to another here, the way I've set it up is that you can start the Pomodoro time. It will count down from the work time, which is at 1, then 2 is the short break time, and then 3 is the long break time. And you can edit the durations of these in the options. So here under Pomodoro, basically you can set the time that you want to set for the work, which is 50 minutes, short break, long break. Yeah, and essentially if I pick 1, which is the work, it's essentially counting down from that. I can pause the time and I can resume the time, so it still will count down. Or you can entirely reset the time back to the 50 minutes and it will still accumulate. Now I've exaggerated the amount that will actually be increased, so to show you the statistics. The way I've been using this is with this like tomato timers, where I just set like 50 minutes of work, 10 minutes break, 30 minutes of a long break. That's essentially what I'm trying to replicate here, and the good thing about this is obviously with sounds and such, you get that feel still. Now I have nothing set up so that it would actually record in here, so I don't think I actually want to do that. I just want some way to track the time I've spent at least this day. On the bottom here you can see the statistics that I'm kind of planning out. And it kind of works already. The time that I actually spend right now, I've just set to, always add an hour so that we can actually see here at the bottom. This is the total time that you've spent today. Then here's a button to reset this time. And then you can set the goal. Below here is kind of like a progress bar of how much you've done. So there's 1 hour in there. If I want to work 10 hours today, I have 10% done. So usually I work 8 hours or more, and yeah, we could just set this 8 hours. Okay, let's start the work. Nice. Breaks will also count to work because that's how life works. That's essentially it. Some minimal kind of statistics. There's also this thing with Pomodoro where you can make like looping and such, where it will automatically start the next iteration. There are some cool UI design ideas from Steve Bones here, for example, where he has this cool idea of just showing this in like an array, where it just jumps or just puts the current one back to the end of the array. The way I work, I usually just set the time and then I hit go, and then I forget about it, right? And then once the time actually runs out, you'll be surprised by how quickly it went, and then you hit record. So the last 2 days I worked on several old features I had. Let's just go over them real quick. So one is, you probably want a feature where you can copy text from Todool over to a file. So this is what I have now, like that. You select the region that you want, like this. Then you do a specialized copy command, and there you go. It will indent the text like that as well. So very easy, very nice. And then Obviously, copy paste still works as you would expect it inside of text boxes, and then also task copying still works as you would expect, like that. The way I've set it up right now is that based on the last copy command, it will do that one. So if I copy text, it will do the paste text, and then if I copy actual tasks, it will paste the task. Okay, another thing that I did was adding back the changelog generation stuff. In case you didn't know, Todool has this feature where if you have anything done like this, or anything cancelled like that, so done, cancelled, you can generate a changelog from this directly, and it will just remove the data. So I have Alt X for this right now. It will remove the content that you had before, and then you can actually paste this. So you see it has the 1, 2, 3, 4. So these were done, and then it will also take the parent because, you know, that makes sense. Also the cancel task was included, so all of these, right? So if this one wouldn't be done, or these would be done, and maybe A, B, C, these would be done, then let's take a look at the tree. It would be this one, right? So if we look back, it will basically look at the done tasks, and we'll see, okay, the parent wasn't included yet, and this parent wasn't included yet, so we're gonna write these two. It basically retains the state of the tree in a textual way. Something I don't have right now is changelog options that you could customize, that you wouldn't want to include the things that you've crossed out, like this, for example. All right, the third feature I have is importing. What this will allow you to do is, for example, I have my box Odin file in here, and it has several locations with to-do marks, right? So like 3 or 4. And then also I have nodes sometime, and we can import these all by just dragging the file into Todool, and it will insert all of these here, right? So you can see we have these ones on the right, and it's pretty basic importing. And yeah, it works with multiple files, so I can import all of these. And then the next thing I try to show was importing multiple files, so I can just drag all these in, and then, you know, you'll see all the content I have. Okay, so that's pretty much it, and then you can obviously manually do stuff with this or undo. Now, something I had as well was importing from directories. That's something I still need to add back in. And maybe another thing that I need to add is doing this multi-threaded. So because right now this is not multi-threaded, in this case it's just fast enough to load from all of these files. So one thing I kind of want to go over real quick is some of the limitations with this importing. The way I've been doing it in the code here has been with kind of the regular scanner that is in the Odin source. And essentially it's something with comments, multi-line comments and such. The only bad thing is that identifiers in this pattern scanner are white space separated. Something I tried, for example, was adding support for this kind of tag. Since it has this white space, it's never gonna be recognized. We can literally only add text like this, or maybe like fail or whatever, right? That is very limiting. And at the same time, this is not something I can really expose to the user because it has these kind of limitations, right? You know, stuff like supporting the comment styles, I had to hard code in a way, right? So like C style comments are this, then check for multi-lines, or if the comment actually ended. And I also need to check if the multi-line has actually happened before and stuff like that, right? Okay, so if this is the C style multi-line comments, like basically like this, right? So stuff like that, it's just there's so many edge cases that you have to support, or like Lua style comments or kind of normal comments, but that's essentially the biggest limitation right now. What is the alternative? I think probably the best for the user would be regex. With regex, we could support, essentially allow the user to scan a file. At least the user could specify the way they would want to look through the file and for which kind of content. This is kind of the issue with this style of doing it. There's just not a lot of stuff that I can add support for because it just wouldn't make sense, or it would have to be this broad way. So yeah, that's certainly the biggest limitation right now with this importing scheme. So it's Saturday, and today, yesterday, I mostly try to fix a lot of stuff. Todool now allocates most of the elements in an arena, so it's easier to allocate and to deal with the memory. Next up, I kind of worked on the scope jumping, so you can jump kind of like the way you would do in programming or like text editors. You can jump to the end, then you can jump to the first one of the scope, and then it kind of jumps back and forth. So I think that's pretty nice, and obviously that works with the selection stuff. So yeah, I worked on forcing some of the tree behavior. So really the only thing that I have to force with this like loose structure of the elements. So something that I really just need to enforce is the indentation being 0. So if I move this task up, it automatically goes back to 0, just so that it still looks fine in this case. But you still see there's like some visuals that clearly don't work. So it's not that great, but that's one thing I need to force to not like completely crash everything. Yeah, just something for fun that I worked on as well was animation for the progress bar. So if you once you reach 6 hours, it will just do some animations. And the biggest visual difference now is I added some text margins on top and the bottom here. So it looks a lot more fuller for each line of text, and it also looks really good with line breaks like this. That's essentially it, and I'm going to show you the before and after. You've seen it in the previous videos, but the way it looked before, I think it's quite a bit of a difference here. So let me set the scaling back to 0 or to 1, and let me turn this to how it was in the beginning, or how it was previously in the video. So that's how it looked before, pretty sure. Yeah, so we had like vertical gaps that were very big. Paths themselves were pretty much just a font size, right? So you see if I do like a T, there's almost no space in there. So what I have now is I can set the margin of the text like that, and you see it's obviously it goes way down now, but it looks so much better for each task now. And as well as that, if we just change the gap to something like 1, there's less space used up for everything, so it just looks so much better, in my opinion. With a gap of 0, that just kind of looks too bad, or like too flat. So I'm gonna leave it at 1 for now. But here's a margin of 50, for example, and it's still usable, yeah. You could still use Todool like this, but I think that's a bit too much. Maybe what I could do is force it for this task, or like the task headers to be a little bit bigger or something like that, to get like more of a visual distinction. But yeah, at these settings I'm pretty happy with it, and yeah. So that was about it. Thank you everyone for watching the video. Please leave a like, and also share the videos if you would like. And also thank you for my patrons. I'm just gonna try to spell them out from now. If you don't like to have your name spelled out, then notify me of that. Otherwise, thank you Idris Saklu, Brandon Punsky, and Julian Ravel for being a patron this month. Very appreciate it. And like I said, this week or the next week will be a little bit busier for me. I'll be working on the Wheel Reinvention Jam, maybe 1 to 4 hours a day. Maybe Todool development is gonna not be that great this week. So thank you guys for watching.